Tony, is there a sense of excitement, a sense of, what's the feeling around your team right now, knowing the position you're in, not only for the Big Ten, but just in general, how you're going into March, when big things happen in a year?
Yeah, I think it's business as usual. I don't need to use that phrase but we're excited at where we're at. But we also know that there's still lots of hockey in front of us to play well in and try to continue to get better at. Let's not kid ourselves. We're on a good enough run we should feel good about ourselves and how our games have gone. But we're trying to just focus on Friday night's game and not look past anything. I mean, that's the only thing we can worry about is getting ready for. That's the only thing we can control is getting ready for that game. That's what we're trying to do today in practice is just focus on that and get ready for Michigan State. And we had them in here a few weeks ago. We had that game that was really, really tight right till the end. So they're going to play hard. They're going to play physical. They got good goaltending. They play sound in their own end. So we know we have to be ready and be at our best to have success this game.
How did you, going back to when you decided that you were going to rotate your goalies, the same pattern every night, how did you approach that with them? And it seems like that to have that work, you have to have them buy in, both of them understanding what it is and why. How did you go about that with them?
Well, we originally wanted to do it earlier than that. And, Robbie had such a great start. He got the shutout his first game against Notre Dame. And then as coaches, you'd be a fool at your first game of the year to tell your team, hey, you got a shutout last night. It's not going to play. And in fairness to Cam, it wouldn't have been fair to him to have his first appearance, in college and going into the net in that situation. So the plan, early in the year, we talked to both of them about it, saying they're both going to play. And at some point, we'd like to get into some sort of rotation that works for both of them. And then, when Cam came in and played that game at Ohio State and looked like he was, just very mature for a freshman, we thought that would be the opportunity to bring it up to those guys. We did. And they're both very complimentary towards each other's success and how they work together. And in a way, I think it takes a lot of pressure off of each of the guy knowing that I got to go in and focus on one game. And that's, worked out well. I mean, so again, they're great teammates. They're there for one another. And that's how it works. It doesn't work if you got a selfish guy that wants to be the only guy in the net and realizes, that hasn't happened. They're as good of a pair, personality-wise. That mix is probably more important than the talent, and they understand that that's the way it was going to be here, and they were fine with it right from the start. I don't know the answer to this question. I'm going to ask you. I know in the 70s there were different pairs of Badger goalies that I don't know if they played every other game, but if you look at some of the statistics, they played pretty close to equal number of games and seasons. I don't know if it went Friday, Saturday at all. So it may have happened in that era and maybe even in a different era here, but I don't know.
I think Dibble alternated at one point, didn't he? I don't know. All the history in my head
in that era.
Yep.
Schultz and Beretta and Barron and Kleisinger were they split time. I don't think they were 50-50. So I think I know in the 80s, Curtis Joseph and Mike Richter and those guys took the net for pretty much the full seasons. But I think in the 70s there was some sort of rotation going on.
The one that sticks out in my head was at Denver, actually, in the mid 2000s. It was with Peter Menino, actually, who was Cam's coach at Des Moines, and they went with it right through the regionals until they went to Menino for the Frozen Four and won them both. And that's I don't know if you plan on continuing it through playoffs. Do you have something in your head yet of how far you're going with this, or when you want to make something of a decision on that?
I think that's depend on how things just play out in the near future. For sure next week, for sure in the playoffs, You know, if we're playing 3 games in 3 nights, we're not playing. I can promise you, we're not playing one goalie all 3 games. If that's the case. If there's 2 games, very possibly we could do the same rotation. And then the tournament, if there's days in between games, you know, it'll depend, you know, on the scenario, how the games are scheduled and things like that. But as of right now, this is worked for us. It's worked for both of them to be sharp in their appearances each weekend, and this weekend for sure will be that setup.
So, Tony, have you noticed your team plays any differently in front of either one or the other, or is it have you played the same? Have you noticed anything different?
I don't. I think both of the guys, you know, the first thing they want in a goaltender is to know they got a confident guy back there that's calm under pressure. And once they find that out, then they can be calm and relaxed. And for Robbie, it was his first game against Notre Dame. They felt that right out of the gate. And then for Cam, it was his first game at Ohio State. And, you know, when you start like that, it's your teammates, they like that when the goalie makes a save for them when you make a mistake. So I think they play the same. I think they're comfortable with both. I think both of them are very, like I said, calm back there and confident. I also think they talk enough when they go back for pucks. I think they talk to their D. So I think I don't think our D or forward group would prefer either one. I think they're confident in both.
Is the hope right now to have your full lineup by Friday, or is that still going to need to wait and see until then?
I think that's our hope. I don't. You know, today the guys that were banged up went on the ice for a little bit. We didn't keep them out for full practice. Tomorrow we're doing some light stuff, so they're going to progress as the week goes along. Wednesday, I'd hope to have them in practice Wednesday, and if they're in practice Wednesday, they should be available for the weekend. If they're not in practice Wednesday, then I would say it's probably doubtful for them. But I would think at least 2 of them will be back, and potentially all 3 of them. And they changed the game time. Did you guys see the game? Fred, are you on? You're on the call, aren't you, Fred?
Yes.
Yeah, they changed the game times for sure.
I'm not sure. I'm still waiting to hear too. So.
Okay. We had heard 5 o'clock on Friday night and 1:30 on Saturday. We're the tentative, but we think that's the type of time the games will be. So.
Sounds like 3 o'clock Friday, 3 Friday, and 1:30 Saturday Central.
You heard 3 Friday now?
That's what Paul just said.
Okay. That's the new updated time of the game. So by the time I get to the locker room, it might be a different time. That's about the 4th time today that I've heard.
You might be playing tomorrow.
Good. Hey,
you might be tomorrow. You never know.
You never know.
How much did you miss Owen this past weekend?
I mean, he's great to have in the lineup because the PK is the first one over the boards, and any big face-off in our D zone when the game, you know, is contested or whatever, he would be the guy we would use. So you know, there are times I would love to have had him on the bench. I think that, you know, from a numbers standpoint, we got enough guys depth-wise that, you know, I mean, we're supposed to have guys that can fill in when guys are hurt. So Ryder did a good job at center there. Different type of center than Owen. I wouldn't match him up there to try to make him have to be the defensive shutdown guy like I would Owen. I used him more as to try to establish a forecheck and play a little bit more of a grind type of a game than Owen. But he still was valuable to the game on Saturday. Actually, you know, so I thought he did a really good job center both games.
Hey, Tony, apologies. You've probably been asked this previously this year, but with Cole and his goal scoring and the way he shoots the puck, the way he's able to find seams, find lanes, and open up, and you know, the one-timer doesn't always have to be in his sweet spot. We're always looking for comparisons, guys you played with or coached before. Is there a comparison that comes to mind?
Well, I think the Brinkett's the one in the NHL to me that's most, I guess, most similar. I I think there's things he does better than DeBrincat, but again, he's at a different level than DeBrincat is right now. So can he do that same thing at the NHL the way he's doing now? I think he can. You know, the offensive part of it like that is really special. So to compare it to other guys, I don't know, Atkinson was another guy that I used to think that he was a lot like slippery and sneaky and always found ways to be open. I think, again, I think Cole's got some offensive instincts, maybe even better than that. But I'd say those are probably the two guys that I think of most.
Is there a particular area in his approach that he's improved in the time you've been with him, almost 2 seasons now?
The defensive part of the game and you know, understanding responsibilities there, the leadership part, for sure. I think, you know, the compliment that I made to him the other day, I think, you know, he's making everybody better around him. And when, you know, as a young player, that's probably the hardest thing, you know, to understand the impact you have on the rest of your team, your line mates, and everybody around. And he's had that impact in a positive way that he's making people around him better. And his intensity without the puck this year is at a elite level, and the commitment at that part of the game is at an elite level. So I think that his maturity of understanding, you know, if he's going to get on the ice and gets to Montreal in the same situations he's on the ice here, he's going to have to be responsible defensively. He's got to prove that he can play against the other team's top lines and all of that. And he's been, you know, all in as far as being committed to doing that. And I think that's why at the World Junior Tournament, I thought he had an outstanding tournament. I think everyone expected him to get 10 or 15 goals in that tournament, or, you know, he didn't have a good tournament. Now, that's not right. What you expected him to do was be a leader and play the game the right way to help his team win. His team won. And the reason his team won is because when he didn't score, he still did other things to be an impact player in the game. And I think that's the maturity and the part that, you know, I've really seen him, you know, grow into understanding that and appreciating it and realizing at the end of the game, he doesn't need to be on the score sheet in the goal department all the time for his team to have success. And I've seen him celebrate other people's successes, whether it's shot blocks on our team, other people's goals or big plays or the PK, as much as he does when he scores. And that's where I think he's really, again, brought that maturity into his approach to the game and his leadership. And I mean, he's come a long way into being a really complete player in a fast time.
Yeah, that was the phrase that he used when we talked to him earlier. Complete player, not just offense, but responsible defensively. Is there? I know you got the shooting range there. Is there a couple of tweaks that you've worked on with him with his shot, or is that?
No, I would be the one asking him. Yeah, I wouldn't be instructing him. So I mean that's a smart. I mean, when you see somebody that has the gift that he has, you don't try to correct anything. You try to learn from him, and then you try to adjust different teaching to what he needs, not what I think he needs. He knows what he needs more than I do. And when you get great players like that, I've been fortunate enough to be around enough in my career. You learn from them about what makes them tick, what they see, how they position their hands and feet in different situations. And then you try to teach off of that to help other guys learn to, you know, I don't know that anyone will ever be like that again, that I'm able to coach. But there's certain things that our guys have, by watching Cole, have picked up on and added to their game. And like I said, not at that level, but they've added little things to their game. So I think that's why it's fun coaching guys like this is you know, I never shot a puck like that. I couldn't open my hips up like that to be available to shoot pucks like that. I didn't have hands like that. So you know, again, I'm respecting what he brings to it and learning from him. And he puts the time in too. It's not just something, okay, he's good at it, and then, you know, when the game plays, I'm going to get ready, you know, by what he's doing it all day, every day. And if you watch him practice, every puck that comes near the net, he's putting it, you know, right where he wants it. And that's just the mental preparation of being ready. So when it happens in the game, that's where the puck's going.
Last year, we were talking about how long it's been since the there was a conference scoring champion from UW, and now he could do it 2 years in a row, which hasn't happened. I mean, across Western leagues has only happened a handful of times in 50 some years. Consistency is something that I know people will look at long-term in a career-wise, and for him to do that 2 years in a row says something pretty big for him, doesn't it?
It does. And I don't know how much in front of him. So I don't even know who's is Dylan in second. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's 6 points up on Dylan, and just Big Ten games.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty incredible. You know, like last year we were talking about Mark Johnson and Mike Eads, the two guys that had years like that to lead the Big Ten, and at that point the WCHA in scoring. And we hadn't had one like that for a while. And they do it back-to-back years. It has been impressive, you know. So, I mean, when we look back on what he did, if this is his final year here, we're all going to look back and be amazed at the numbers he did. And really, I think more importantly, how he's done it. I think that's been really fun to watch him grow and progress. You know, we knew he could score. We knew he'd come in here and be able to contribute offensively, but how his game has just matured has been really fun to watch.